Jaya Radha Madhava. We could use a little volume. Just a little bit. Thanks. We're going to do something, because today is the anniversary of Gundicha Marjanam, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cleansed the Gundicha temple to get ready for Lord Jagannath to sit there. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, well, I guess I'll just say it because I'm halfway through. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in the Chaitanya Charitamrita uses that as an analogy, as Krishnadas Kaviraj does, to, if we want Krishna to sit in our heart, then our heart has to be a suitable sitting place. Okay, that's the premise. How to do that? So that's what we're going to, in honor of Gundicha Marjan, and that's what we're going to do today, instead of the regular Bhagavatam class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Little low, Ma. I'll follow you. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Balava Girivanadari Gopijana Balava Girivanadari Jana Jasoranandana Brajajanaranjana Jamunitiravanatari Jamunitiravanatari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Balava Girivanadari Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamunatiravanatari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Boom! Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Boom. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Boom. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari, Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari. Thank you, Brahma. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariva Jikacharya Sita Deshisham, the divine grace of Bhayacharan Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki. ISKCON BBT founder Acharya Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem Shri Goho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadada Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki. Say Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki. Vrindavan Dham Ki. Mathura Dham Ki. Dukka Dham Ki. Navadvip Dham Ki. Jagannath-puri Dham Ki. Jamuna Maya Ki. Ganga Maya Ki. Tulsi Maharani Ki. Bhakti Devi Ki. Sambhita Bhaktivinda Ki. Srila Prabhupada Ki. Sri Radha Giridhari Ki. Shri Krishna Sankirtana Jaga Ki. Gopremanande. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the divine Lidasita, C, Guru, and Gauranga. So who's young? Jimmy, you're young and healthy. Can you carry this mic? We're going to go back over there. Okay. Although we could do, well, let's go back over there. Yeah. As we should, we often talk about sambandha. What's like when you're at a mall, of course who goes to a mall nowadays, but there's a map, you are here. And you say, okay, I'm here and I want to get there and here's how I do it. So that explains the relationship, how everything fits together. So here we are, conditioned souls. We want to go back to Godhead and we want to develop pure Krishna love, Krishna prema. So then Abhideya is, okay, we start walking. We function based on that information. Okay, I'm going to go turn left, we practice it. And then what is, other than Dravida and Balaram and half the other people here, what is the third and final step? You can plant a seed, you water it, but then ultimately what do you want? There's prayojana, there's some fruit, or there's some flower, the thing. So we're after pure love of Krishna, nothing less, nothing smaller. Prabhupada said this movement is not meant for small things. So we want to develop pure love of Krishna and leave this material world. I remember, and I need a clock, anybody got I always forget. Thanks. I guess that little thing will do the job. Vishnujan Maharaj, one of the, it's useless. so I'm half blind. Vishnujan Maharaj, one of the heroes of the Hare Krishna movement. Prabhupada said his voice could enchant the whole world. And we used to chant downtown Los Angeles. It used to be big. There were no malls in those days, so we went to the downtown was the center of action, and there was a store called Bullock's. It was a department store. And it had a special feature that on the 6th floor there was a patio restaurant. And people could stuff in their bones and feathers and whatever noxious items, but they could do it on that balcony. And what they used to do was take cups of hot coffee, snap the lid on it, throw it off the balcony, they'd come down and hit the devotees. It was an interesting time. And now they see us as monks. In those days, we were worse than Martians. They couldn't figure out what we were. And this particular day, it was hot. All the buses, would park there and pull out. So we were in regular clouds of diesel fuel. So it's hot, bus fumes, people throwing off cups of hot coffee at us. There was a den of iniquity down the road, and the prostitutes sometimes would come and try to dance with the kirtan party. Hey baby, and you get some innocent young brahmachari. So the cups of coffee were there, the diesel fumes were there, the heat was there, the drunks were there, the licentious prostitutes were there. That was the scene. And to frost the cake, a Christian marching band showed up. I swear to you, with a trombone and a trumpet, they were playing "When the Saints Come Marching In." With this, all the factors. And so some guy walked by and yelled at blissful Vishnujan Swami, "Why don't you just go home?" And he put his hands up and said, I'm trying, in the cosmic sense of going back home, back to Godhead. So we should periodically remember, if not always, remember the goal, that we're not meant for small things, but we're meant to become Krishna conscious and go back to Godhead. Is that sufficient? What was the mood of Vasudev or Prahlad Maharaj? Is it sufficient that we go back to Godhead? Other than Dravida? Is that we want to take as many people with us? That's Vaishnava compassion. Okay, but the first step, if we've got to have a qualified heart. Gundicha margin, well, I think it says here. Let's go next. So, it says right there, so I can't really ask the question. When Lord Ram, he was trying to finish off Ravan, and he had 10 heads, and he would chop off one head and it would just grow right back. He was a mystic shape shifter by his potency. So what did he have to do? He had to shoot him in the heart. So we have so many desires, so many aspirations. What is it, Manasakroda? So many things are bouncing around in the mind, and you can never purify it. But if you purify the heart, then the mind automatically follows. Next. So this is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cleaning the Gundicha temple. And the analogy, I wanted to read something. Where's that saffron bag? I forgot that I had a premise. Thanks. And we need the lights on just for a minute. Sorry, thanks, Prabhu. Give you some exercise. I wanted to read this purport by Srila Prabhupada. This is from the Madhya Lila, and this is the setup for what we're going to talk about. And today is Father's Day. Do we know that? So it's a good day to call your father. I mean, unless it's, he's going to scream and yell and it's, brings up traumatic memories. But outside of that, it's nice. It's good. We have a duty anyway. We're indebted to our parents. Otherwise, and also it's a good investment. You don't want to have them angry. So this is from the Madhya Lila, chapter 12, verse 135, and it's the purport. And Prabhupada's quoting from Antya Lila first off. If one wants to see Krishna seated in his heart, he must first cleanse the heart, as described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Siksastaka, Chaito Darpanam Arjanam. To wash away all dirty things accumulated within the heart, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised everyone to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. The first result will be that the heart is cleansed. If the heart is filled with straw, grains of sand, weeds, and dust, in other words, anabhyasala purnam, one cannot enthrone the Supreme Personality of Godhead there. As Sri Rupa Goswami says, in other words, because I want to push on, in other words, there should be no external motivation. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also cleansed the outside of the temple, fearing that the grains of sand would again come within. In this connection, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that even though one may be free from the desire for fruitive activities, sometimes the subtle desires for fruitive activities again come back into the heart. To give us a practical instruction, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cleansed the temple twice. His second cleaning was more thorough. The idea was to throw away all the stumbling blocks on the path of devotional service. He cleansed the temple with firm conviction, as evident from his using his own personal garment for cleaning. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to see personally that the temple was thoroughly cleansed to the standard of clean marble. Clean marble gives a cooling effect. Devotional service means attaining peace from all disturbances caused by material contamination. In other words, it is the process by which the mind is cooled. The mind can be peaceful and thoroughly cleansed when one no longer desires anything but devotional service. They talk about the world being... Is this world profane? Well, first off, there's the standard statement. God has made this world for us to enjoy. Right? What's the other than Dravida and Balaram? What is the logical response to that? God made this world for us to enjoy. Yeah, you've got it. What? Why am I not asking? Yeah, this is the best you could do. I mean, this is like brand X. It's not really working out. So if God didn't make this world for us to enjoy, then the next default conclusion is that this world is profane and corruptive and polluting, and therefore I should be like those monks in the Orthodox tradition and go off to some island and climb up and live in a cave. Every 6 months, I'd lower down a basket and they put something in it, and I wear, the sackcloth. So there's no comfort because this world, it's insidious and it'll just creep into my heart. So the world's really meant for us to enjoy, but that doesn't really work out. And well, then it's profane and corruptive, and it's boga tyag. But the problem with boga is the desires don't go away. What's Prabhupada's classic example involving a basket of snakes? I got a basket of cobras. I put the lid on it. I leave them alone. What happens? No. It's sequential. They quiet down. There's no problem. So I think, okay, well, they must be pacified now. Open up, stick my head in. What happens? So they're just lying dormant. And, when there's agitation, immediately they'll strike. So you can't... I was thinking about it this morning. You've got the Catholic, you've got the Christian tradition. I mean, Jesus says, my kingdom is not of this world. You've got Buddha, he gives the fire sermon. The senses are on fire, the eyes are on fire, the mind, everything's on fire. Therefore, you've got to cut down desire, come to the point of nil. So they're all warning us about this world and saying the goal is somewhere else. Even if you're Muslim, with the 12 virgins, or how many virgins is it? 72? I was married. Just having one wife was a headache. Imagine having 72 wives, That's a real formula. Or a woman with 72 husbands. Spare me. One's enough. So, but it's somewhere else. It's in heaven. So they're all saying it's not here. But what to do? Only Mahaprabhu gives the secret. I was thinking about this yesterday because my neighbors were having a party. We were having a party. They were having a party. And their party was full of anger and envy and unfulfilled desires and nasty stuff. And how are they all feeling this morning when they woke up? Well, they haven't woken up yet. There's a few of them that are up. How do they feel? They feel hot. They've got a hangover. They're embarrassed by whatever foolish nonsense they've done. How did we feel after that blissful event yesterday? Devotees feel purified. They think, wow. And then remember, the mind is thinking and remembering instead of impure reminiscence. Dreaming, when I was 18, I caught the high school, the home game, and it's all been downhill since then. They peaked at 17 or 18, or they peak at 30 or they're 80 years old and they've joined the singles, silver singles? They're trying to crank up the sense gratification, one more time. I mean, come on. So, but a devotee's reminiscence, we remember, just like now we're remembering what a wonderful event it was yesterday and beautiful Radha. We were saying the other day, does not that thing, Narada Muni says, does not that thing therapeutically treated become the cure of the self-same disease? And what is the example given using dairy products? Anyone know? What's the first problem? Too much milk. What happens? Indigestion, so many issues. And what is the cure? Yeah, yogurt. Yeah, mixed with flat rice and bananas and little black pepper. Solves the problem. So that which was the cause of the problem transformed is the cure. So only Mahaprabhu teaches this, that the world is not meant for us to enjoy. It's not meant for us it's not profane and corruptive. When it's therapeutically treated by devotional service, by engaging it in, this building was an army barracks built in the 1940s by the Army Corps of Engineers for navies going over to the Pacific War. It's a great building. It's all wood. It shifts. If there's an earthquake, things will pop off the wall, but the building will stay. It flexes. So it was built as an army barracks. And at one point, it was a Elks Lodge. Elks are famous. They have a private bar. Basically, they go there and get drunk and play cards. It was a army barracks. It was an Elks Lodge. It was a movie theater. The screen used to be here, and the projector was up. Those odd-shaped rooms up above where it does all those levels. That's where the projector used to. So it was an army barracks. It was an Elks Lodge. It was a movie theater. It's the same building. But when it's engaged in the service of Krishna, it becomes a temple. The first temple in Montreal, anyone know what that first temple was? It was a bowling alley. I don't know exactly how they adjusted it, but it became a temple, The Boston temple was a mortuary, the one on Beacon Street, and it was haunted. It was so haunted. You can imagine they're shuffling all those bodies through there. It was so haunted that nobody would buy it. It was a good location, and the price was cheap because it was haunted. That's a whole other story. We'll talk about ghosts some other time. So the devotee said, Prabhupada, it's a great price, great location, but it's haunted. What should we do? Prabhupada said, buy it immediately. Prabhupada said, you go through, you have kirtan in every room, you burn incense, you blow conch shells, the ghosts will go away. We're way off track, but just for fun, Kirtananda told me when he traveled with Prabhupada to India, they were staying at some life member's house, big old, left over from the British Raj, big old house. So he put his things away. He went to check on if Prabhupada needed anything. He said Prabhupada was going with his cane along the floorboards. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Then along the ceiling, Hare Krishna, Krishna. And I said, Prabhupada, what are you doing? Prabhupada said, chasing out the ghosts. Just like you'd shoo out a cat, you know, probably say, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. So they purchased it, and that was our first time. So that does not that thing therapeutically treated become the cure of the self-same disease? Okay, so that's, oh, we can hit the lights again. Sorry. Who's there? Getting exercise. Thanks, Gundicha. He's the man of the hour. Okay, next. So these are the straws, the sticks, the dirt, the weed in the heart. It's kutinati, which is fault finding, pratishtasa, which is the desire for name, fame, and high position, jivahimsa, envy of other living entities, nisidachar, which is to accept things forbidden in the Shastra, and kam, of course, is desire or lust. So next, those are the, just like Krishna in the battle in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, he showed where the enemy soldiers, how they're laid out, what was the opposition and how they were positioned. So how are we going to fight and get rid of the dirt in the heart if we don't know what it is? So Mahaprabhu is pointing out where it is, and there it is. Okay, so this is from Lord Chaitanya's foundational instruction, Siksastaka. We're going to break down the Siksastaka in the light of how to cleanse the heart. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said we should Trinadapi Sunichena Tarodeva Seshana Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahadi. We should wear that like a garland around our neck. Okay, next. He said that's the Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, quoted by Srila Prabhupada, said that's the foundational formula for purification. Okay, so there it is. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, wear this verse like a garland around your neck. Next. Of course, we know the translation. I guess I should say it for the... One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than a straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respects to others while expecting no respect for oneself. And what is the fruit of that? Okay, so suppose we come to that state. What happens? In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Okay, next. So let's lower than a straw in the street. Next. So grass is the most insignificant, humble thing. It never complains. It says, hey, get off of me. You know? It doesn't complain about the dogs. It just, just tolerates. So very humble. Okay, next. And Prabhupada points out in Bhagavad Gita that the beginning of knowledge, therefore, is humility. That's the key that opens the door to actual knowledge, to actual realization. There has to be humility. Next. Tamal Krishna Maharaj tells the story how when he was the temple commander of the LA temple, and I think it's probably 68, I think maybe 69, but I think 68, maybe even I forget. But the LA temple, the old one on La Cienega. He asked Prabhupada, he said, Prabhupada, I have this very important position. I'm the temple commander of the LA temple. There were about 35 devotees at that time. I don't, U.S. Steel, the U.S. government, I mean, how many, you have to have at least 50 employees or you're considered a small business. So, he's in charge of 35 devotees. On one hand, it's not that. But he thought, I'm afraid I'm going to become puffed up with this powerful position, prestige. So Prabhupada said, you just think like this. You think that Mahavishnu is lying down, and from his breathing, unlimited universes are coming. And in every universe, he lies down again as the Garbhodakshai Vishnu, from his lotus, Lord Brahma, and it's full of planets. So that's just one breath of Mahavishnu is the unlimited universes. In every universe, there's Lord Brahma who creates all the planets. And Prabhupada said, on every planet, there's so many continents. Every continent, there's so many countries. Every country, so many states. Every state, so many counties or provinces. Every province, every county, so many cities. Every city, so many streets. Every street, so many blocks. Every block, so many buildings. Every building, so many rooms. And in one of those rooms is Tamal Krishna Goswami thinking, I'm very important. Tamal told me that. So, what do we have to be proud about? Prabhupada said, what is it? proud of borrowed plumes only. Next. And we've got good reason to be humble. I mean, you're all saintly Vaishnavas who took birth to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. But who knows what? I'm some dog that some Vaishnav threw an old chapati to. So, we have good reason to be humble. Remember our past deeds and our foolishness. Okay, next. The benefits of humility, as defined in Bhagavad Gita. Simple, adverse to fault finding, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, forgiveness, freedom from envy, and from the passion for honor. What a relief to get all of that off our back. It's one of the benefits of humility. Next. The ability to, if one's humble, one can take good advice. What happens if you give good instructions to a fool? Prabhupada says it. Chanakya Pandit says it. They just get angry. So, at Tadvidi Pranipatena, just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Why? Tattvadarshana. They've seen the truth. So we can't find our way out of a phone booth without a Boy Scout and a compass. So just hear from someone who's heard but that takes humility, to be willing to hear, to be willing to take instruction. That's another benefit of humility, Trinadapi. Next. And the willingness to change and grow. If we don't accept, I love Vijay's line. What is it? You offer them a book, say, nah, I'm good. What's Vijay's famous answer? Could be better. Could be better. It's a great answer because it's true. But they're nothing now. What is it? The demoniac nature? Rich, powerful, happy, so many enemies I've, killed and all, So everyone's thinking, oh, I'm great. Well, not really. In the core of their heart, they're pretty humble, but that veneer is there. Who are you to tell me anything? Okay, next. So if we're humble, then there's the willingness to change, to grow. If we think we're perfect, what is it? I used to be proud, but now I'm perfect. Come on. Next. Study your, this is, you can just see it there, but Niranjana Swami, we may not get through with this. We'll just get as far as we can. Niranjana Swami, one of my heroes. I have some heroes. We were in Mayapur, and this devotee came up. I won't mention his name, and he's not with us anymore, and you'll understand why. He found fault. He just went off. Oh, these attached sannyasis, they're in saffron, but they're really creamsicles. They're white on the inside, saffron on the outside. And the grihastas, they're all attached and thinking about their wives. And all those brahmacharis are all lazy. He went off on everybody. He went off on the gurus, our Diksha gurus. He went off on the GBC. We're always first in line. I was thinking, and I'm not the most patient of people, if you haven't noticed. And I was going to throttle the guy, but I'm sitting there with Niranjana Swami. I thought, he's a saintly person. I can't, reveal my actual nature. I got to control myself here. And I also wanted to hear how he'd answer. And he just took it in. The guy just kept going and going. I was thinking at one point, this man has offended every element of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. We're spending so much money on deity worship. I mean, this guy was a perfect storm. He went off on everything. And I thought the only element of Mahaprabhu's mission, of Prabhupada's mission, he has not offended the cows. And then he said, and that is cow. They're raising money. And he went off on the, cow protection. I thought, jeez. So he finally ran out of steam. And Niranjana Swami said, I can see that you are expert at finding fault. He said, I think if you study your own heart, you will find sufficient subject matter. Isn't that a fantastic answer? I thought, that's like Voltaire says, tend to your own garden. We've got enough, you want to find fault with this and that. Look at I can certainly speak for myself. I got plenty of work on my own heart. I don't have time to be messing with somebody, like Ramchandra Puri. How much did Mahaprabhu eat? So, okay, next. That's another benefit of humility. Next. But then does that lead to low self-esteem? I'm lower than the straw in the street, and, I've got all my misdeeds in the past. No, there's a quiet humility that's also confidence. What is it? Utsahan Nischaya Daryat. That Sudam Prabhu asked Prabhupada, he was in the LA airport, happened to be, and anyone who's been in an airport when Prabhupada arrived, it was just fantastic. Dravida knows, but Ashram Maharaj knows. You know, the flower petals and 10 madungas and 40 pairs of kartals and distributing prasadam and book. We just took over the airport. There's a few interesting, but some other time. But Sudam said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, when I'm walking with you, I feel proud. And is that a bad thing? You know, it's pride. You know, we're not supposed to say. Prabhupada said, no. He said, you should think that by the grace of my spiritual master, I'm no longer a fool and a rascal. Prabhupada said, when only the Vaishnavas know who is who and what is what. So without being arrogant, there's a quiet confidence that I'm going back to Godhead. Was it Mukunda? You know, who knows? It may take so many lifetimes, but I'm rightly situated and I'm going back to Godhead. I'm getting out of this place. So that confidence without being arrogant, it's not low self-esteem. It's genuine humility and confidence. Next. Prabhupada points out, because I'm talking low self-esteem, and that means no, I can't even get out of bed and, you know, whatever it may be. Prabhupada says there are two Vaishnava heroes in the Vedic tradition. Prabhupada said our ethos, our values rest on two books. Anyone know that? Of course, you could say Bhagavatam, you can say so many things. But in this, Prabhupada said for the Vedic pantheon, it rests on Mahabharata and rests on the Ramayana. And then Prabhupada said of Mahabharata and Ramayana, who are the heroes? Of course, you can say Ram, you can say so many heroes are there, you know. But Prabhupada said they are Arjuna for the Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, and then you've got Hanuman. And they were not inactive. Prabhupada said they were not weak, simply living on rice. When they were and ringing bells, they were powerful. So it's not low self-esteem. One's full of energy and confidence for Krishna. And we have the example of Hanuman and Arjuna. Next. And of course, we have the example of Srila Prabhupada, New Kurukshetra. At one point in time, they gave, not Giriraj Maharaj, but the people in charge beforehand, we were so bewildered by the Mr. Nair and his agents that they actually gave the land back. They thought they were getting out of a huge lawsuit if they just gave the land back. Prabhupada said, you can all leave. You can all leave. Prabhupada said, and we'll use this Hare Krishna land for parking buses, and we'll travel all over India distributing books. And he said, and you get me a chair, I'll sit in that chair, but I am not leaving this property. And of course, when Prabhupada said that, you know, all the big GBCs and big sannyasis, well, I guess they're not going to get there. How can we leave if Prabhupada won't leave? So that's bold. That's fighting for Krishna. Next. So no low self-esteem. And I think we just have a few more of these. And from lowly straw comes liquid religiosity. That which, I mean, they stuff mattresses with straw. They don't even do that anymore. You know, use straw. If our cows, they make a little bed for sleeping on the, but it's not a high grade. Anyone know what a bale of hay costs? I don't even know what it costs. So it's not high quality stuff. But when properly processed, that which is absolutely useless lying in the street becomes liquid religiosity. Think about that. The most valuable, the Prabhupada said, the miracle food for old men and babies, milk. So humility allows that it transforms our heart. It transforms the way we see the world. It transforms our experience by humility. Next. So now more tolerant than the tree. And what time is it? All right, maybe we'll do one or two more and then we'll finish. More tolerant than the tree. Next. This tree is up in, what is it out? Joshua tree? Yeah, and this thing is supposed to be over 5,000 years old. It's like, it doesn't look very big because it's like a bonsai tree. It's just sitting there suffering, you know. So just imagine, heat, cold, wind, rain, doesn't falter. You never see the tree say, hey, that's it. I'm going to Florida. I'm out of here, enough of this. So tolerant. Next. Because there will be agitation. What is Krishna's example in Bhagavad Gita? So many rivers enter into the ocean. You never stop the rivers, but the ocean remains steady. It never, So, Prabhupada, how do you measure someone's strength? I don't know what this guy eats. He's there's no question he's going to be a gorilla in his next life. He's going down. Maybe he did some devotional service. I don't want to write him off completely. But, and it's all feats of strength. The Olympics, how strong are you? And the core, the raw manifestation is how much weight can you lift? But Prabhupada said the measure of a person's strength is the ability to tolerate. Next. So the qualities of a Brahmin, Dhammatapa Shanta, self-control, austerity, and tolerance. This is the ability of a saintly person to tolerate. Next. Prabhupada went to the dentist in LA, and the devotees, when he got back, Dayananda told us, when Prabhupada was done with the dentist, they said, Prabhupada, how was it? Prabhupada said, we're tolerant. And what was it in Manhattan, in Lower East Side? He stayed with that Carl who had a cat, and there was cat food, which is just ground up, who knows what, fish and guts, and Prabhupada tolerated till Mukunda, arranged for Prabhupada to be somewhere else. So a tree doesn't discriminate. This is another quality of, tolerant as a tree. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says more tolerant than a tree. So a tree, Prabhupada points out, doesn't discriminate. Who gets its fruit? You never reach up to pick an apple. It draws its branches. Not for you, buddy. Okay, next. And it's a kind shelter for all. It doesn't say, well, you can sit in my shade, you can't sit. So this is the qualities we can learn from a tree. Different qualities. Next. And it tolerates all kinds of offenses without complaints. People do all kinds of things. Animals do all kinds of things. A tree never says, hey, come on. Next. So tolerating difficulty. These are different aspects or nuances of tolerance. And that's what we need to practice to have our heart become cleansed so Krishna will sit in our heart. So tolerating difficulty. One doesn't give up one's duty. It's easy. Suppose you're on a desert island and you say, well, I'm a celibate. Well, okay. What's your option? You've got people in prison. We have a lot of people that do well. What is it? The prison ministry? Yeah, they're strict. Chant their rounds, follow the regular principles. What happens when they get out? Now, many of them do quite well. But once you've got the option, so one of the symptoms of tolerance is the difficulties will come. The light of the Bhagavad gives the example that the storm is pounding on the mountain, but the mountain doesn't move. It just tolerates. So that's a symptom of tolerance, is we don't give up our duty. Because if somebody told me, oh, but that's so difficult. Well, that becomes the criteria. What isn't anything you want to accomplish of value in this world? 99% of the time, it takes sustained effort. It's difficult. So, but that's too difficult? When did difficulty become the criteria? Next. And just like a tree, even when it's dead, it gives up it becomes lumber. So it gives its entire life for the service of others. That's another aspect of a tree and tolerance. Next. So we'll finish with this. Ready to offer all respects to others while expecting no respect for oneself. Next. And Prabhupada says Krishna says in the Gita, the humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmin, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater. Hari Sari told me he was in the airport with Prabhupada, and there's so many interactions. Prabhupada they're getting the ticket, and they're sitting next to somebody asks, oh, where are you from? And there's so many. Prabhupada would talk to the taxi driver, and we didn't have a car. When Prabhupada came from LA. This is 1970. I can nail. So this was in July of 1970. Prabhupada flew from New York to Los Angeles. And we all went out to the airport to greet Srila Prabhupada. Probably with guests and everybody, probably 75 devotees, or, guests and friends. Waiting. Everybody got off the plane. No Prabhupada. You know why? We were at the wrong gate. That's how spaced out we were. We were at the wrong. Prabhupada came out, no one's there. He was with Purushottam. So Prabhupada took a taxi to the temple. We all came back, we did kirtan, and there's that alley, and there's that. So Prabhupada was getting his massage. He came, and we're all chanting after we left Prabhupada in the lurch at the airport. He got back got back, took a taxi, took us a bath, took a massage. So when we were chanting under Prabhupada's window, he looked out the window and went like, where were you? What use are you? So, so that was it. So in that mood, Harisari, Prabhupada would meet so many people. And Harisari said that he said to Prabhupada, everyone likes you. Anyone know Prabhupada's classic answer? Why everyone likes him? Because Prabhupada said, I like everyone. So Harisari said, Prabhupada, everyone likes you. Prabhupada said, that's because I like everyone. So one who sees with equal vision, he knows that's part and parcel of Krishna. We were taking prasadam one time in Laguna Beach Temple. This is 1969. And we used to lay out a madras, a cloth, and put the prasadam on that. And then someone would have stay with clean hands, and then serve everybody. So, it was a little tiny house, old house, and there were cockroaches. So the devotees were sitting there taking prasadam, and this little cockroach came running out and ran back. And he ran, and he would freak. He'd come out a little further each time and then freak, And then finally he ran all the way across the floor to the madras, grabbed a piece of rice. And as he was running back, one of the boys went, Prabhu! He was now a Vaishnava. He was taking prasadam. So, every living entity offering respects. I mean, we don't, for Radhagiri Hari and for the guests, we have to keep things clean. But okay, next. We have Maharaj Ambarish and prideful Durvasa Muni. Maharaj Ambarish was peaceful in it. There wasn't even a real slight. Durvasa Muni he wasn't even slighted, really. Was it Ambarish drank water before he ate? Because he was on a vrata, a vow, and he had to, take something. So the sages said, we just drink some water. And, you've eaten before me. You're an heir. And, tried to curse him. The whole thing goes on. So he, over nothing, over a trifle, insignificant, it wasn't even anything. He became furious. Durvasa Muni, who was a great mystic. Ambarish, he's got, this huge demon coming after him, completely undisturbed, unagitated. So much so that he was merciful to Durvasa Muni. So that's one of the benefits of humility, of tolerance. Next. Sorry, Prabhu. Huh? This is the next. Oh, this is the next one. Oh, so there's the famous example that was that Rupnarayan. And he came to Vrindavan. He'd gone all over India conquering people as a great scholar. And he heard that Rupa and Sanatan were top. Of course they were. Renowned, best of scholars. He challenged them to a debate. They said, no, we're not going to debate. We don't. He said, well, then if you accept it, if you're not going to debate me, you have to sign that you were defeated. Rupa Goswami said, no, we'll sign it. Just to get rid of the guy. They're not going to waste their time with some... Let him brag, who cares? Of course, Jiva Goswami then challenged them and completely mopped the floor with them. That's another story. And said, I am simply a servant, a lowly servant of Rupa and Sanatan. Okay, next. So, Bhavagrahi Janardanam, we have nothing to prove to others. Everybody's... I was at this wedding yesterday. That's a whole other class. But... There's a big hall that everyone was white. The cheapest room in the place was $650 a night. Whatever. So it's a big, big fancy place, so-called. And what are they doing in there? All sinful things. That's another story. But they're all walking down the hall go outside where the wedding is. And there's these big mirrors. And everybody walking down the hall was, how do they look? And I was watching the reaction because I was waiting for the father of the groom. So I was waiting. And some people walked past the mirror and they thought, hey, I look pretty cool. And a number of other people went by and you watched their shoulders slump to that, well, like putting makeup on a pig. There's nothing I can do about it, I'm fat and I'm old and that's the way it is, and you'd watch them disappointed. So, and people are drilled. What do other people think about me? Social media. What are they saying about me? How many likes does he have? But what do we care? Only person we have to please is Krishna. And Krishna loves us no matter what. In other words, if we're engaged in devotional service, Krishna is so pleased. Prabhupada said Krishna wants us to go back to Godhead more than we could ever even want to go. Yeyatam mam prapajante. Prabhupada said we take one step to Krishna, Krishna takes 10 to us. It's a 10-to-1 ratio. You could get that, if a bank was giving you 1,000% interest, you'd sign up. So why not surrender to Krishna? You get 1,000% interest return rate. So we should always remember that Krishna knows what's in my heart. And Krishna loves me. And Krishna knows I'm trying, assuming that we are. He also knows if we're cheating. So this is our security. This is our shelter. This is our solace. So we can end there because I actually have to go. We'll finish this next Sunday. But the basic principle is that nobody wants to sit, well, not nobody, anyone in their right mind doesn't want to sit on a garbage pile. If people want, I asked, this wedding, the family was, you can hit the lights. Somebody can hit the lights. But thanks, Baru. And this is just to wrap up. Both couples, I said, why are they doing this in Pacific Palisades? I was thinking, well, because I know that the groom lives out in what they call it. Talk about, what is it? Take a dead rat and perfume it. He lives out in the high desert. I mean, it's not scenic out there. It's a tough place. So he lives out in the high desert. What is it? Pear Valley, Apple Valley? And they're holding that's like, I don't know, it's out there. And they're holding the wedding in the Pacific Palisades by the ocean. I thought, well, maybe the bride must have her family. Why? So I said, why are you doing it out here? They said, because I don't want to offend anybody, but it just sucks. We're out here in the desert. It's hot. We wanted to go where there was a little hold the event where there's a sea breeze and it's scenic, just to get somewhere nice. So nobody goes to a vacation downtown Cleveland. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's Cleveland or Mistake by the Lake. That's a nickname for the place. I know, because we used to do Sankirtan there, and it's only gone down. Lake Erie caught on fire and burnt for 2 weeks. It's so polluted. Maybe it's better now. But the point I'm trying to make is that people like to go to a nice place. Refined people, you'll find them in the park. You'll find them in, somewhere. You don't, by the beach. You don't find them in a brothel. So where is Krishna going to sit? Prabhupada says, how long does it take to become Krishna conscious? Anyone know the answer? In a second. What's the criteria? It's the state of our heart, because the heart will determine the mind. That's it. So if you want Krishna to sit in our heart, the heart has to be clean. So these are some practical examples of how to work in that direction. So we can end there. Thank you very much. All glories to Prabhupada. Hare